Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Before I begin, you might be wondering what happened to my nose. It's just a little sunburn there, just in case you were wondering. I have some fairly whimsical things to talk about today, and then later on some more serious subject based in a modern dilemma. As always, there will be a timer in the description of this video so that you can skip to the Google Maps section of this video. That is if you do not want to hear about the strange animal humans. To begin today, I'm going to tell you about furries, otherkin, and bronies. Starting with furries and furry fandom is a subculture interested in anthropomorphic animals with human characteristics and personalities. There are people who will dress up as animals of some kind and or do their best to roleplay the animal that they are posing as. Searching the internet, it appeared to me that this is typically done as a get-together of sorts, sort of like a Halloween party. Gathering together dressed up in their furry costumes, they will enjoy interacting with each other's different characters. Kayfabe, or others kayfabed characters. Kayfabe meaning the convention of presenting stage performances as genuine or authentic. One good example of this is professional wrestling. Another one would be these furry parties. I don't partake in this, but it doesn't seem like anything too nuts to me, really. Next up is a similar trope called otherkin. Otherkins are a subculture of people who identify as something other than human. Some otherkin believe their identity derives from reincarnation or transported species dysphoria of the soul, or ancestry or metaphor. Others are quite more reasonable and attribute this to unusual psychology. I feel like if I identified as a panda or something like that, and I proceeded to write it down on an application for work, school, or a hospital, etc., well, the hospital might just think you are supposed to be at the veterinarian's office rather than in the hospital, as the local hospital is not equipped to treat their pandas. Most of us have enjoyed mimicking animals at least once in our lives, typically trying to mimic the sound they make. Other times, maybe their behavior, and even their characteristics, of course. This type of activity can be quite enlightening, or even used as a good icebreaker if you can pull it off. However, otherkin are actually serious when they are participating in this kind of behavior, so trying to compliment their act may offend them. This is because they do not wish to identify as human in any way. I am guessing they avoid public bathrooms more than most do. If you are seeking to befriend another kin, try compliments like good kitten if they are, quote, a cat, rather than saying something like, wow, your meow is very much like a cat's. The idea here is to address them as a cat or whatever other kin they identify as, and not address them as a human. The last and the smallest group of animal humans that I will talk about today are people known as bronies. Bronies are teenagers and adults who enjoy watching the television cartoon called My Little Pony. This name is typically given to the male viewers, whether they are straight, bisexually gay, or any other binary identity. There is not much to talk about when we are just pointing out anyone who is not a child who watches a children's cartoon. However, it appears to me that anyone who identifies as a brony is a little bit different from the average viewer. What I am talking about are people who clearly do not just watch My Little Pony, but are obsessed with the cartoon and maybe even have a kink of some kind for the animated characters in the show. Some of the first bronies that I was able to identify on the internet were people who created imaginary friends that were based on the characters and some of their characteristics in the show. Most of us, even when we are not bronies, can easily relate to them, because everyone who watches television does pick up on characteristics that they find to be positive from cartoons, television shows, even video games. This happens whether you are aware of it or not, and I feel like you should know that information. Moving forward now with my next subject, I'm about to talk about some of our current life-altering technology. To be a little more specific, the dangers and uses of Google Maps and Google Earth. Google Maps Street View was first introduced in the United States on May 25, 2007, and until November 26, 2008, featured camera icon markers. I'm pretty sure that they were brought back after being removed. Each icon marker represents at least one major city and or area such as public parks. A marker is what identifies a location on a map. I would also like to add that Google Earth was released in 2001. Google Earth is a geo-browser that accesses satellite and aerial imagery, as well as other geographic data over the internet to represent the Earth as a three-dimensional globe. Some inherent dangers of this relatively new technology is giving almost anyone the ability to stalk another person. Of course, leading them to harass an individual is the next step in their process. So no matter what your reason is, anyone participating in this does not have good intentions. One of the biggest problems that I have spotted regularly living on the streets and moving town to town is many individuals who are young-minded pouting their thoughts out loud into the public space, usually targeting a specific person in an attempt to disrupt their thinking. If you think that you are hearing voices in your head in public, it may help you very much to understand that there are many immature or sometimes criminal adults hiding in holes or on their back porch and reading material to you. Always done in a shady manner, and obviously these individuals are ashamed of themselves for what they do with their lives. Keep in mind that they have to try really hard and spend a significant amount of time planning to disrupt you in some way. At the same time, they become afraid to interact with other people in real life, with the exception of people that they were forced to socialize with, such as relatives or someone they met in school. Of course, there are people like me who have no interest in peeping in on others' lives unless I am interacting with them on a normal basis. Then there are people lacking the means to purchase the technology and use it. Just a friendly reminder to some of you out there in the United States of America, criminal harassment is intentionally targeting someone with behavior that is meant to alarm, annoy, torment, or terrorize them. The purpose of the criminal harassment law is to protect each other from unwelcome verbal or physical conduct based on any characteristic protected by law. The way products like Google Earth are interfering with these laws these days is giving people the ability to stalk other individuals online, which is technically a criminal offense. However, as far as I know, there is no way to catch that criminal. So, as I watch this problem proceed, these criminals are getting more extreme with their methods. Once they have watched a person or persons on Google Earth for long enough and are aware of their routine, they are capable of writing a script, waiting for a specific point in time to disrupt someone or a group of people. At the very least, their intentions are to laugh at you as long as they can cause any kind of a reaction to the script that they wrote. Of course, there are much more extreme cases, such as setting a person or persons up to appear as if they committed a crime. Google Maps and Google Earth increasing our overall ability to do this. This gives someone the ability to commit a crime themselves and then proceed to pass their crime on to another person or persons, much easier than it ever was before. Unfortunately, any elegant answer to this problem is going to be hard for most of us to accept, because attempting to simply eliminate the technology would simply just move it out of most people's reach, leaving it only to private hands to commit the same sorts of crimes. And obviously, there are people who are capable of replicating the technology for themselves anyways, ultimately leaving us with no choice but to eventually accept the fact that we are being surveyed and watched by others from our satellites. My part in this is raising as much awareness of this problem as possible. One idea of mine is to create a new police force just for this dilemma, as well as creating a public website or websites to make technology like Google Maps and Google Earth more reachable to us. It is my hope that getting everyone on board with the idea rather than dismissing it because you might be frightful, if it helps you at all, you are already being monitored in this manner. Or at least most adults do have access to watch you anytime and anywhere that you are in a place without a roof on it. And even then, I can speculate that the thermal camera on our satellites can see you, Can't see your heat signature, anyways, indoors. Once more, this is not intended to scare anyone. I only want you to be aware and to be honest with your neighbors about these technologies. All I know is that keeping secrets about this will only create more threats for us. And that's about all I have on the subject for today. You can give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel to receive updates on future content. And leave a comment below if you have anything you would like to say about any of this. I hope you all have a pleasant day, and goodbye.